Oh, it's remarkable what you've done. And then you got some award or some acknowledgement of some sort?
Got an Order of Australia medal.
Order of Australia.
You were Citizen of the Year before that, though, weren't you?
Yeah. I got Citizen of the Year in 2002. What happened in 2012,
Yeah.
someone submitted records on what I was doing, and I got a OAM, Order of Australian medal, for people who do hands-on things.
That's good.
And that covered for conservation, the environment and community service. So you're at the Sports and Community Club, so you know I was involved there.
Yeah.
So, no, it's been a good retirement. I retired when I was 58. I'm 81. I was born in 38. So I've really had, from that period of 58 to 81, and things are still happening. The Wimmera Catchment Management Authority.
He was the chairman of the Biodiversity
Committee.
The chairman of the Biodiversity Committee.
Yeah,
Committee of the Wimmera Catchment Management.
Of the Wimmera Catchment Management. Yeah, okay. And so was that after or before this project? When did that happen?
No, the river kept going.
Sure.
Yeah. I started after I retired, and I worked for about 10 years. So I've had to cut a few things out, of course.
Oh,
It was like Burke Street, and I've had Sue backing me up too, which is great.
that's good. It's purposeful. What if everyone in a housing estate got a package that told them about what plants used to be there, and what if you could plant these things, you could bring back certain birds and things like that. It's just all about setting an example through your own existence, and then that might be replicated.
That's the secret. If you put the groundworks in, I mean, where you walk today, the council wouldn't have had a bar of it. Right? Now it's been done, they take ownership and maintain it. Right? And it's a community facility.
That's
it's
great.
Not just what I want. It's for the community in the long term.
Young minds and very young children see the tapestry of branches and stuff like that, and they're growing the synapses in their brain in a different way that they would not otherwise if they were walking through all of these right angles with all of the glare. It actually does affect the way that the brain is wired up over time and the decisions that they make later in life. It makes a huge difference in a whole a range of ways that aren't directly obvious. But if you do this stuff, you enrich the community, and it's a wonderful thing.
State of war with some of the work we've done on the river for tidy towns and all that.
Walking up and down here, thinking, this is a thing.
Yeah. It's a bush block out here in the middle of town. That's our bush block. It's in the middle of town.
Yeah. Where would you have a bush block? Kilometre from the post office.
Something.
Yeah. And, I mean, I still got under the deal I got with the council, I still got to maintain the weed control out there and things like that. Okay. So, it's a bit of Roundup sprayed around at the right time. But everybody now doesn't walk on it any longer. When I started carting limbs in to put on the ground so we had some litter, because while the council mowing, everything was cleaned off. I had a woman out there collecting wood for a fire, and I said, I carted this in, you want to cart it away.
Yeah.
I said, in the long run, this is habitat. We need some logs, ground, limbs, cover on the ground, so everything can go. Now you go out there and there's lizards everywhere.
Yeah, right.
Except me kookaburra mate comes in and cleans them up.
That's brilliant.
I mean, what what we've done in the river here will maintain itself now. Because if you ever switch it off, you're going to have a right the other way. There was a right because I cut fences and did a whole heap of things.
You're right.
Right? But now if you change the direction, there'd be another right. Because they've got used to the environment and having understory on the frontage, and it's a great view. When I sowed stuff down opposite the showgrounds, they said it was great. We've got sick of the tin sheds over the other side.
People just inherently, if they're comfortable in their surroundings, like to see life unfolding around them. It's beneficial, emotionally beneficial. So how do you go from that to the projects that you showed me today?
Well, what happened,
First of all, just outline the project that you showed me today. I guess
we
it's
also
better for you to explain it.
Joined Wimmera Farm Tree Group, and that was a project that they got $9,990 to do from the government under this National Heritage Trust for funding. And the idea was the college here, Longland College, put in for 19,000 so they could get 10 grand out of it. In the end, I ended up with a student from there who ended up checking how people react to funding and farming and level. So every month I used to cart around and measure all these plots we had. Ian wrote it up. It was quite good actually, and we got a woman to do who does all the mathematical calculations for research plots. Jenny Smith, and she put all the figures together. So we ended up producing a paper that showed that if you're going to sow bullocks, you use forestry tubes, not
Hycos.
What's a hyco?
It's a smaller thing
about that tube that side. So the root development's stuff all
they grow them quicker, but and in some plants that's an advantage, but not bullocks. Okay.
Well, Snape Reserve. How long have you been working intensively in that area? For how long?
Start of 2003. So.
And to give people the location, it's right next to a national park, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the edge of the Little Desert National Park.
Yeah, northeast corner. What happened? Dim's my hometown.
As in Dimboola.
And what happened, they bought the property, and I was already on Meldalwyn committee, so I knew what was happening. And as a result of that, I went to the first meeting they had in November 2002, and as a result I took the position as chairman. And then Sue joined us. Clive Crouch, that we drove past today, the house at Nil, was their secretary, treasurer, because he was on Mount Elwyn with me. And in the end, he pulled the pin, and Sue took over. So we got everything running right. We got a management plan, and then we went for it. We had to find funds to buy equipment.
Tell me the purpose. What was the purpose of it?
The purpose...
The mission statement. You had a mission statement of some sort.
Well, the statement, the idea was to return the reserve to the best we can over the long term and preserve what was there.
Yeah.
Now, that's pretty hard when you inherit 500 rabbit warrens and holes.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And the problem was we joined land care, so we got the rabbit ripper with a big backhoe. Well, I mean, it was big. He made a hell of a mess when he went into the soft sand. And good operator, but he didn't have the right equipment for us. So what you saw today was a lightweight tractor, low lugs, minimum. After a rain, you wouldn't know it driven down the track.
So the vision for the future, I was amazed by it. I was like, wow, the re-veg work is incredible.
Yeah, well, basically we're trying to put it back to where it would have been, as best as you can figure out that. So that's and to get rid of the weeds, which is the other part of that. It's putting the vegetation back and getting rid of the invasive stuff.
That African weed.
Veld grass.
Terrible stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. We haven't really tackled
was
that.
Also South African. We inherited a lot of stuff from South Africa.
So was the Horsham, wasn't it?
Well, it's Gondwana, and it's it just needs to this absence of competition for a while in a similar kind of climatic.
That's it, isn't it? The climate suits them.
That's it. Yeah, and so I was just amazed at today. I thought, well, that's incredible. So we spoke a bit about Gondwana Link and what Keith Bradbury and others are doing over there. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to see something like a Gondwana Link, on the eastern side? Is it impossible? I mean, to do something like that, to achieve something like that, to create these we were talking about it today all the way when we were driving around, talking about creating these wildlife corridors.
Well, we hooked it up to the national park, so we get our free kangaroos and emus, which are the fire department there, because we don't mow anything, we only mow the tracks.
And these other actions, I should hold this one up, the golden sun moth. This was brilliant today. I just couldn't believe. I mean, look at this. That's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Current distribution and what's known before European settlement. So, endangered species. So you were involved in this as well. When did this happen?
Not the sun moth, really.
No.
I mean, no, that was.
That's a separate project.
Yes, I know.
And it wasn't our project, but we know the fellow that was involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
Clive Crouch was the secretary at Mount Elgin, and he became our secretary at State Preserve. So the little bit we had to do was the mowing and that, with just a relationship.
Top down.
Yeah.
And we saw the snails today. That blew me away. There were snails over everything. In that one area where we stopped that memorial to the family there, and the snails were hundreds just in this one little bit. What are they? Where do they come from? You were saying
they've come from the west, haven't they? The snails have come from the west.
Yeah, right.
You
look at fence posts.
They certainly come from Western Australia.
Yeah. But they don't. They come from.
They're not indigenous to there. No, they've been brought in from somewhere. But
so someone brought in a plant with a couple in, and that was the start.
Wow.
Like the rabbits. They
like a colleague brought them in for game.
High biomass.
Right.
Low diversity.
The amount of cost it's cost Australia. Foxes are the same.
Cane toads are the same.
Oh, yes.
And this is a problem. Cats are another one. I've got one little problem and it's showing up everywhere. The academical research at universities and that, to putting it in the field is a big gap.
Right, tell me about that.
Well, the government was trying to look at what was being produced out of universities to make sure it gets into the operation quicker. And that's a problem. Right? We do all this research, we write a great paper, the concept is right, it needs to be tested a little bit further, but we've got to make sure it works. Right? And
on the ground.
And you need the ground level come back to the researcher to see the problems. The researcher does it in a small concept, but when you put it in the field level, you strike a few problems.
When you're scaling it up like that.
Yeah, and it's a problem. And that's only a problem between the developments were getting out of universities to putting it on the ground. It's still a problem. And I think we need to solve it at all levels.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely, that's correct. And how would you do that?
Yeah,
You're the first one that's pointed out to me that this is a problem.
In the old days, they used to take, and I'll talk about the Wollongong College and Luke research in the early days, right? They used to have plots everywhere. They'd try it on different soils, and they'd come up with all the species that were going to survive, and this is the soil type you need. And it was good, and we're certainly doing a lot of research more technically today, but you still got to get it back into the field and sell it to everybody. So until everybody's up to speed, we're not achieving. No good one bloke out there doing it right. You've got to get the message to everybody. And the same with vegetation. When we have a success story, we should get everybody out there from every council and say this is how we're operating.
How to replicate. So the problem is a lack of education in how to effectively replicate. Replicate results.
Let it be right.
How to learn and effectively replicate. Right, okay.
There's some good people, but
there is.
they've got a heap of jobs, especially in council. They get interference from everybody, but to achieve the goal, right, it's major problem. I mean, on the river it was easy. I just made the decisions and took the rack.
You were saying that before. You just get on with it. Just do it. The only way to affect change is to act.
He's a decision maker. He sees something and does it.
That's it.
Sometimes people get upset.
And then I'd argue the case at the end.
Well, look at the results. The results are brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But if I'd gone to the council, asked permission to put trees on Burnt Creek, wouldn't have got it.
Yeah.
Oh, floodplain. Can't put trees there. In Europe, they've proved it's only a 5% difference. But convince that to some farmers around here that are on council. Never make it.
And look at it now.
Yeah. I could have shown another creek where we sowed it down to red gums and everything on the wall.
I have a friend, Peter McQueen, who I've made a lot of short films with. He's a horticulturalist in Toowoomba, and he's trying to get a program to ensure the protection of Toowoomba's special trees. So tell me about the story related to how you saved that special tree that you showed us today.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah,
the post office one or the one in Horsham?
Well, you saved both of them?
Yeah,
I meant the one in
Elgin was a bit different.
The one in Horsham where you actually did intervene.
Yeah, what happened, we got permission to go and put vegetation on Burnt Creek while it was still owned by an individual. And we also got permission to put up a fence so that his sheep would need it. So that's where some of the fencing came off for some of the early vegetation and was recycled. And as a result of that, we, with that re-sowing, we got in early, right? We certainly had some problems because once we cut it out, we had some rain and Bathurst spur was everywhere. In fact, Ian drove the little Suzuki I had and I sprayed, right? And then it was non-stop. We just got rain and Bathurst spur came everywhere because there's nothing to eat it when I was young. And as a result of that, we got those trees in early, so they weren't a problem to anybody. They were there by the time everybody built. While we were doing that, this tree was only 50 metres away from the creek. Went up there and had a look. I couldn't believe it. So
It was huge. Just massive.
yeah, it was massive.
What was the species?
Yeah, it's like it was today.
The species. The species. The name of the species.
Grey box.
Grey box.
Yeah.
It was huge.
And
How old do you say? How old? The approximations?
well, they estimate it's around the 500 mark. Right? The trunk on it and everything.
Wow.
And the thing being was, when the subdivision goes through, of course, all they're interested in selling house blocks. They were going to put a 5 metre access to the creek because that was public purpose land there.
Yeah.
And in the end, what we did with that is I went to see Tim Minton, who knows all the subdivisions. He used to do roads from and everything. And I said, this is what I think it's worth preserving. He went and had a look and agreed with me. I said, Sue downloaded all the forms, and he said, look, I've got more time than you at the moment, I'll do it. So we did it and we got it listed.
It's great.
Right. We got a fair reaction from the developer because his easement went from 5 to 11 metres.
Oh.
And it also covers the first house on one side. And we were lucky that Wendy White built the house there, and she was very receptive to the tree growing over the frontage there. So in the end, it was a win-win in the end.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is a terrible problem. A number of individuals are elected to make decisions in which they have no background and qualifications at all to make decisions on. They're not environmental scientists. They have no understanding of the fragmentation and the breaking apart of biodiversity and what that costs. And now we look at what's happening. We are well and truly we say we're entering into the Anthropocene. We are not. We are there, and the world's different. The deforestation of Australia.
Oh,
it's
unbelievable. There's 2 maps up in our room. One's before we started and one's after we stopped it.
I've got that map too.
It's been a good project. If you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't pain sometimes when you pick up a crowbar. It doesn't matter.